How are you, gents? It's SBG Aussie MGTOW here on this Thursday morning. A few days ago, I was at Brisbane Airport waiting to pick up a friend of mine at the international terminal. He'd just come back from New Zealand, and while I was waiting for him, I was sitting in a coffee shop having a cappuccino, and I was watching that show. I think it was Today Extra, I'm not sure. Anyway, usually I don't watch programs like that because it's just a lot of inane nonsense. But I was just sitting there having my coffee, and all of a sudden my ears perked up because they started talking about a survey in which found that on average Australians spend around about $170,000 in a lifetime on dating. And I thought, that's probably about right for men. That wouldn't surprise me at all over a lifetime. Some men would actually spend that amount. As for women, I think it's a load of BS because, as we know, it's usually men who always pay in the dating scene, especially these days. You won't find too many women who are prepared to go Dutch on a date. But when I was watching that segment, I thought about my own experience back in the late 1990s when I was in my 20s, and how much money I spent going to bars, going to nightclubs. Sometimes I'd go there to meet my mates for a few beers after work, but most of the time I was going to these bars and clubs to try and meet women, try to impress women. That was back in my blue pill days, and I was very blue pilled back then, I'm sorry to say. And I think that in the late 90s I probably spent maybe 50 to 70 grand on going to bars, clubs, shopping, buying clothes, trying to impress girls, trying to impress women. And now when I look back, I realise how much money I wasted and what a big waste of time it was. And for sure I could have been doing something a lot more constructive on my Friday and Saturday nights. Sometimes I would go out on both Friday and Saturday night, and I think if I had invested that 50 to 70 grand on constructive things like investing in blue chip shares on the share market, on the stock market, or I had bought some gold or done something useful with those funds, I would be a lot better off financially right now. I'm in a good position now, even though I'm divorced, but it took a long time to claw my way back. So I'm in a very good position now, and I have no intention of changing that by getting involved with any women. And when women talk about MGTOW and they say that men are missing out by going MGTOW and that we are messing up our lives, well, I just think that's an idiotic attitude on the part of the women. We are protecting ourselves, protecting our assets, and after you've been divorced and you've lost a lot of money, you certainly don't want to go back to square one and have to start all over again, because it usually takes about 10 to 12 years to get yourself back on track after a divorce or a bad relationship, because even if you're not divorced, you can still get burned by a woman, as we know, if you've been living with her for several years. And I just wanted to make this video because I've been thinking about this lately, how much time, energy, funds, money men waste on dating and chasing women. So it makes you think about the greater purpose of life and the meaning of life. And as far as I'm concerned, the meaning of life is not to be a statistic who just exists to grow the economy. And for sure, our purpose as men is not to be a provider for women, not to provide them with financial support, emotional support, not to protect them, take care of them. If women want to be equal, they have to learn to be independent, self-sufficient, and I mean to be truly independent, not just pretend that they are independent and they can look after themselves, because as we know, most of them still can't. They still rely on a man, even when they are stating that they don't need men. I'm just down here at Kangaroo Point, looking across to the Brisbane CBD, a lot of very tall towers. I'm just close to the Story Bridge, looking across to Howard Smith Wharves and that new hotel, the Fantuzo, I think it's called. I actually worked on that last year and worked on the entire Howard Smith Wharves project last November. Been over there a few times to have a beer. It's quite expensive. It's a very expensive precinct, but has very nice views. But it's a bit of a wank. People just go down there because they think that it's trendy. I'm not into hanging around with all the beautiful people, as they're called these days. I'm over that sort of BS. Anyway, gents, it's a beautiful Thursday morning. It's nearly lunchtime, actually. Just got a city cat going past there. Sort of making this video up as I go along, but I think that it's an important issue, this topic about how much money mostly men waste on dating during their lifetime. As usual, hope you give me a few comments, provide a bit of feedback. Thanks for listening and watching. If you like the videos I make, please subscribe, and I hope to talk to you again soon. Bye for now.